Welcome back to episode 95 of the ATD Baseball Podcast. Kyle, it's the last week of the regular season. What the hell?
I know.
I don't like this. I
No.
still think that we're in July or August. Oh, we got 6 to 8 weeks to go. No, this is it right here.
Yeah.
This is the final full week, and it sucks. We got stuff that we're going to talk about today. We actually have a lot today.
We do.
Something news that just broke right before we press record. But before we get into all of that, Kyle, how you doing?
Doing good, man. I can't complain. Personal life's a little crazy. You know, the whole moving thing. I touched on it last week a little bit. You could tell my background's going to get worse and worse, and I apologize for that. It's not going to look great soon. But other than that, I'm doing great, man. And I really think you touched on it there. This last week of the regular season, it's always bittersweet. Always.
Yep.
And especially like this year in particular, because we obviously took the trip down to Tampa, and I remember watching the Ohtani Dodger whole thing going on when he first signed with you guys, and then watched the Korean series. I think we were up at like 5:30, dude.
Ippei.
That seems like a distant memory now, but no, it has been a wild ride. We obviously covered spring training down in Florida this past year. I'm never gonna let it down. I got the whole Nick Swisher thing. Come on, I still can't let that go. Got to take that trip down memory lane. But and then we went to Cooperstown, which was great. But no, it's went quick, man, very quick. And you know, this season has flown by. You know, I remember being hyped for Juan Soto, Ohtani with the Dodgers. You know, it's just been crazy. It really has been. And now that we're here, it's just wild that we kind of look back on this now and it's like, wow, where did this go? It's crazy. But no, we're in the last week, and you kind of touched on it. We're going to be talking about teams that have clinched, teams that have been eliminated. Our two teams are sitting pretty good right now. So obviously we're in.
No, we're not. Not my team.
Standings wise, at least.
Sure.
We'll keep it at that. But no. How are you doing, man?
I had a very eventful week. Went to one of those Diddy party. No, just kidding. Went to a little function last week with some of my coworkers. I appreciate that. I love that. I went to the game of the century out in Anaheim last Wednesday.
God bless you, man.
Angels, White Sox. And for $30, I was able to sit in the front row. Right down the first base line. I got an autograph from Miguel Vargas. That was pretty good. Of course, though, it was probably one of the longest games that I'd ever been to at a ballpark. 13 innings. That's how long it took for the two crappiest teams, not just in the American League, but in baseball this year. And they were slugging it out for 13 innings. And listen, they made so many pitching changes that you would have thought that they were playing for the pennant. You would have thought this was Game 7 to go to the World Series. There were so many strategic moves, you know, playing the matchups, subbing guys out for defense, you know, pitching changes. I'm like, guys, like, you guys are done. Like, you don't have to. Listen, I understand both teams are a million games out of first place and a playoff spot, but it is a chance for those young guys who some of these teams are looking to bank on for the future to get out there, get some playing time. I get all that, but 13 innings? Really? You know, it's like, and then I had a miserable drive back home, sitting on the 5 in traffic. That was bullshit. But, yeah. Dodgers gave me a heart attack yesterday. I was ready to come in here and say it's doomsday, it's over, we're not winning this division, because they were a heroic ninth inning away from losing 2 out of 3 to Colorado. And then you have San Diego, who took care of business against the White Sox. Dodgers' lead is only 2. And here come the Padres for a 3-game series in L.A. starting tomorrow night. And all they have to do is take 2 games. Because remember, San Diego has the tiebreaker against us. And there's no game 163 this year. So if for some reason by Sunday afternoon Dodgers and Padres are tied with the same record, they get the division. We're probably playing Arizona and LA for the wild card. So I was ready for Doomsday. And then, of course, Ohtani 50-50. I'll touch on that a little bit at the end. But we got a lot of stuff that we want to talk about. So we're just going to jump right into it. Charlie Blackmon announced his retirement. Shout out to Kyle because he got the notification from Talking Baseball that he announced that he was retiring. He's spent all of his 14 years with the Colorado Rockies, which in this day and age of sports, that's uncommon. Somebody to play that long for one team. But just my immediate thoughts about it, it hits home for me because this guy has been in my division pretty much my whole life. He's been terrorizing my team, and he did it over the weekend again. Had a couple doubles, and he hit a big home run on Saturday to give him the Rockies some insurance. So, nothing but the best for him, man. Like I said, it's rare to see somebody play for one team. When you think of guys, when you think of like an all-time NL West team, Charlie Blackmon's on that team. He might not be a starter, but he's definitely a bench guy. But when I think of Rockies, I think of guys like Larry Walker. I think of guys like Todd Helton. And you're going to think of guys like Charlie Blackmon as well. You know? So that's my immediate thoughts. Happy retirement. It's going to be weird watching Rockies baseball, if you are watching Rockies baseball, to not see number 19 out there for the Rockies. It's very weird.
Yeah, no, I'm going to reiterate everything you said. This is a guy who, I mean, he was never really in the headlines, for anything bad or unusual. This is a guy who played baseball. That's all he did, and he was pretty damn good at it too. This was a guy who, he spent his entire 14-year career with Colorado, and like you said, it's unheard of. But my immediate reaction is, damn, we're getting old, Melo. The hell?
Yes.
What the hell? This is a guy who I grew up watching, and obviously you did too, a little bit closer than I did.
Oh, yeah.
But just to kind of take a look at his career real quick, 1,797 hits. He had a total of 226 career home runs. He had a slash line of 292, 352, and 479. No, he's a 4-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger. He had a batting title in there too. And he compiled a 20.8 WAR. This is not saying he's going to be in the Hall of Fame or anything, but Rockies Hall of Fame. Yeah, I would think so.
Oh, yeah.
He had a fabulous career in Colorado. Big time contact guy. And he was so cool, man. Chuck Nasty. Come on.
Yeah.
He was such a cool guy to watch. Long hair, big beard. This was a guy who I would have liked to see traded to the Yankees, just for the facial hair. But no, good for him, man. And I'm glad he went out on his own terms. He's been the guy in Colorado. Very cool, and I hope him nothing but the best.
Yeah, he's a Rocky great. Definitely. Like I said, like you mentioned it, he's not going to the Hall of Fame. He didn't put up Hall of Fame numbers, but he is one of those guys, especially for this generation of fans, one of the most recognizable guys in the league.
Oh, yeah.
And it sucks because there was a point in time when the Rockies were competitive and they were competing for the NL West. They were competing for a wild card spot. It hasn't been like that in Colorado for the last 3-4 years now, but one of the things that you can always kind of hold your hat on, like, hey, Charlie Blackmon's in the lineup tonight. Let's see what he's up to, So again, happy retirement. Kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't know in Rocky Land if he was debating on retiring this season or he was coming near the end, but I thought he was going to play for another 2-3 years. I didn't think he was going to announce his retirement this season, but
It was a shock. Yeah.
yeah. But like I said, good for him. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to his family. And yeah, he will be honored hopefully as soon as next season in the Rocky Hall of Fame and get his number retired.
Yep.
Nobody should wear that number ever again. That's
Agreed.
my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Moving on here. So, teams are beginning to take shape for this postseason. And unfortunately, seasons are ending for some other teams. But we're just going to kind of go through some of the teams that have clinched a playoff spot or clinched the division. And we're also going to look at some of the teams that are not going to make the postseason. So I believe Milwaukee was the first division winner.
Yes.
I think they were the first team to clinch a postseason spot and win their division at the same time. And it's funny because they didn't even have to play the game to win. I know they walked off the Phillies that night, but the Cubs lost to the A's earlier that day at Wrigley, and that's what clinched the division for the Brewers. You know, again, former guy Craig Counsell. Now he's on the losing side with the Cubs. Yankees clinched a playoff spot. My team clinched a playoff spot, and the Phillies clinched the playoff spot. Now, Phillies can clinch the division tonight. Dodgers can clinch the division in a couple days. I think you said the Yankees can clinch tomorrow, right?
They can with a win over Baltimore.
Okay. By the way, speaking of Baltimore, man, you can put them and the Twins in the same category. They are free falling and they are falling fast.
You love
Especially the Twins. You love to see it.
And the Guardians also clinched the AL Central.
Right.
Yeah.
And just some of the teams that have been eliminated from postseason contention: White Sox, Angels, A's, Rangers, Blue Jays, and then in the NL you have the Cubs, Reds, Rockies, Marlins, Pirates, Giants, Cardinals, and Nationals. Kyle, is there one team, and I guess you can go for each league if you want, or you can just name a bunch. Which team was the most disappointing this year? Because I think there's a bunch of them you can look at.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm gonna pull up the list real quick. So for
Angels. Oh yeah, they had no expectations.
me, I'll give mine in the American League. I'm gonna go with the Toronto Blue Jays. This is a team that we've been waiting for this young core to kind of take shape, and to be honest with you, some of them already have been shipped off. I'm looking at like Kevin Biggio being traded to the Dodgers at the deadline. But even even the core guys that they have there now, when they brought George Springer in, I thought that was going to be deadly. I love that move for them. And then Vladdy, he had his really good seasons, but then has kind of fallen off a little bit. Not taking anything away from him, he's still a phenomenal player. Same with Bo Bichette too. This entire team has just taken a step back, and they were oozing with potential. I mean, going into the season 2 years ago, this was the pick for the World Series.
Yep.
This is a team that just couldn't put it together. And to be honest, I thought they were going to be fighting with the Yankees and O's this year. Obviously, that didn't happen. You have to throw the Texas Rangers in there, I think, just because they won the World Series last year. I knew they were going to have a step back. I didn't expect them to make any kind of big noise in the postseason, but I still expected at least a wild card appearance out of them. They kept their core guys there. The team that they won the World Series with. Moving over to the National League, the one that jumps off to me the most is the Chicago Cubs. You and I were both big on them going into the season. New manager, a good manager at that, brought back Belly, and then they have the core guys that they have in there. Suzuki,
Imanaga had a good rookie season.
Exactly, and Justin Steele. Obviously, his season was cut short, but I expected big things out of this team, and they just didn't produce. The Reds they're not disappointing to me, but I expected them to be a little bit better. I would have to say the Cardinals then. I thought the Cardinals were going to make some noise in the NL Central this year. Obviously, that's not the case. Same with the Cubs, But, yeah, those would have to be the teams that are most disappointing to me.
Yeah, you have to look at that Toronto team. And I mentioned this before the beginning of this season, that if they don't make significant noise, whether in a playoff spot or in a postseason, you really have to consider blowing this whole thing up.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't worked. And I feel that way going into the offseason. They should blow this thing up.
I agree.
Because it's not working. Whether, you've done all these different things, you've bought in all these different pieces, and it just hasn't panned out. Unfortunately, that's how it works, Not every time you bring in a bunch of former great players, kids, they're not all going to pan out. I think the ones that only pan out are Bo Bichette and Vladdy Jr. But you really, if you're Toronto, you really have to look at blowing this whole thing up. And it's crazy that was 2022 as good as it was going to get?
I didn't think so.
I didn't think so either, but that's what it's looking like. A wild card appearance against the Mariners in which you choked the game at home, a big lead at home, and I think they lost that series in 2 games. But
yeah,
when they lost in 2022, I was like, okay, well, they'll be back. But no, that wild card series against Seattle, that might be as good as it gets for this core, and that's unfortunate. So I don't know what they do. I think they're doing a big disservice to their fans if they're going to roll out the same exact team next year and probably just change the manager. What is that going to do? That's not going to do anything. But we'll see. You never know. National League. I'm not saying this because I'm a hater. I really want to say the Giants. I didn't expect them to make the postseason or anything like that, but I expected them to be a little bit better.
I did too.
I didn't expect them to be 7 or 8 games out of a wild card spot, and they were in the thick of things for a little bit there. But, they're currently 10 games out of a spot, and they are 2 games below 500, which is, it's not bad compared to some other teams, but I was kind of expecting them to be a little bit better. I really was. So. And listen, there's still teams that are going to get eliminated. Listen, somebody, and probably going to be the Twins, but somebody that has been in that wild card round spot for a long time is probably not going to make it. And that's probably going to be the Twins. But how do you see the rest of this postseason kind of shaping out to be? Because you only have a couple spots. You have a bunch of spots that are still open.
Yeah.
Which I think that's good for the sport.
I do agree.
It's the final week of the season, and there's still 7 spots, I think, that need to be taken still. That's pretty good. But how do you see the rest of this fixing out?
Yeah, so for me, I'm going to start with the American League. I'm not saying this to be biased, but I'm saying it because mathematically, I don't understand how this is going to work. I see the Yankees clinching the AL East. I see this because they would need to lose out, and Baltimore would need to win out. That's 6 games left. I don't see that happening. So I have the Yankees winning the AL East, and then heading on over to the National League West here. I'm gonna have to go with probably Houston. They're 5 games up right now. That's also the same kind of mathematics that I'm using with the Yankees. Houston probably clinches, and then I see Baltimore getting the first spot in the wild card, and then I see Detroit, man, stand up.
Shout out to them.
Seriously, they didn't come out of nowhere, but they took advantage, man. They really did.
Yeah.
Good for them. I see them making the postseason. And then obviously last spot, KC and Minnesota is separated by one game. I was big on them going into the season, so I'm going to go KC here, just
Yep.
because I want to be right. Heading on over to the National League,
Minnesota doesn't deserve it either. I don't think at this point.
They
The
don't.
way they've been playing for the last 6 weeks, they don't deserve to be in the postseason.
I agree. I definitely agree with you. Heading on over to the National League, I see the Dodgers clinching. The Phillies are likely going to clinch.
More optimistic than I am.
Wild card spots, I'm going to have to keep it where it's at. San Diego gets 1, Arizona gets 2, and then I see the Mets, the Miracle Mets, coming in at number 3.
Yes.
How about it? How about it, Melo? Let's take a moment to put ourselves on the back here.
Yes. Yes. So I guess with mine, I guess I'll continue. Then I'll ask you something. American League, yeah, I see Yankees, Cleveland. Well, Cleveland already clinched, and Houston all winning their divisions. Yeah, we're in lockstep. Baltimore, Detroit, KC, getting those wild card spots. I don't know. It would be. I mean, Seattle again. To me, they're another team that doesn't deserve it. But that would be kind of like, because everybody's talking about Minnesota, Kansas City, and Detroit right now. It would be funny in the last week if the Mariners added themselves into that conversation, which they blew a big game over the weekend that could have put them in there. But we'll see about that. National League, Phillies, obviously they're going to win. Dodgers, question mark. I still feel good about it. I'm not 100% though. And then your wild card, San Diego, I think obviously the first one. I'm going to put the Mets at 2. Just because San Diego and Arizona are going to be battling out this weekend.
Yeah.
So I think the Mets will continue to do their thing. And I think Arizona gets that last spot. However, one thing. As a Dodger fan, I would love nothing more. And I need the Braves to step up here a little bit too. I would love for Arizona to completely melt down this final week and miss the postseason in general. Oh, I would love that. I would love Atlanta to jump Arizona and get that last spot, because everybody's been talking about the Mets and the Braves going back for that last spot, and then watch the Diamondbacks completely have a meltdown, and then they miss it completely. And also, this is the question I have to you. So the Mets took 3 out of 4 in New York against the Phillies. Do you think they were doing that on purpose? Do you think the Phillies were letting them have it so they can keep their division rival Braves out of the postseason? Do you believe that conspiracy theory going around right now?
I don't know, man. I mean, I never even thought about that, to be honest.
I mean, the
with you.
Mets need the games, obviously, to stay in front of Atlanta. But, I mean, I don't know. Maybe, like, hey, let's keep them out. Let's keep the Mets. Let's keep Atlanta out of the postseason this year.
Which, I get it from like an outsider's perspective, but if I was a Philly fan, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'd be scared to face this Mets team in the postseason.
And that's where I keep coming back to. I'm with you.
I would be scared to face the Mets in the postseason because this Mets team is hot and they believe in themselves, and that means a lot. This Mets team is giving me a lot of the Phillies just a few years back when they made the World Series appearance. There's no telling what this Mets team can do. I'm high on them. They're clicking on all cylinders, man. That rotation has really formed together. Sevy and Minaya at the top of there. It's been nice. And Peterson's given them some innings too.
Yep.
You still have Tyler McGill. He's a guy who's been, on and off. He's showed some flashes, but at the end of the day, I still think you can rely on him. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm really impressed with this bullpen that the Mets have. They're throwing out these guys that are kind of like, okay, who's this now? Oh, okay, well, he just pitched you scoreless inning here. And then Edwin Diaz is shaping up again. He's looking good. So this Mets team, I would be scared to face. I would much rather play Atlanta right now. And as crazy as that sounds, I would much rather play Atlanta.
And the balls on Carlos Mendoza yesterday to put Edwin Diaz for a 6-out save when you're up 2-1. And on a day when Atlanta won, so if you lose that game, it's a game. You're only a game up on them going into that big series this week. Yeah, I think I'm with you with that. I do not want to see this Mets team.
No.
They've been playing. Yeah, you mentioned it. They've been the miracle Mets pretty much since the beginning of the summer. So that'd be very interesting. There's two, and then we'll move on here. There's two races that are going on right now, and you have no part in any of it. So I'm very interested to hear your perspective on it. Which series are you going to be closely paying attention to more? Dodgers, Padres for the NL West, or Mets, Braves for the wild card spot?
Just because of how well the Mets have been playing, I'm going to go with Dodgers, Padres here. I have a lot of faith in this Dodger team. Obviously, a lot more than what you do.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. Like, I mean, listen, maybe it's just because I'm a Yankee fan and I can kind of relate to Dodger fans. They put a lot of money into this team, and I don't see a world where they allow themselves to get jumped in the NL West. I think at the end of the day, they are going to pull it out, and they're going to win the NL West again. But at the same time, this Padres team is good, man. They're hot, and they have a lot of good players. So I think with the way things have been playing out, especially for the Dodgers, like they're winning really close games that, to be honest with you, they shouldn't be winning.
Right.
So that, like, I mean, it took Mookie Betts last night. And then of course Ohtani putting the team on his back and kind of having a hell of a night. I think he went 4 for 5 last night. I think this is going to be the race that I'm more paying attention to, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you know where I'm kind of standing right now with this Dodgers team. It was doomsday until about maybe 3:30 yesterday. Yeah, I mean, and then again too, it's like, do you even want to show all your cards this series? Because you might play them again next weekend in the divisional round. You know, which, by the way, if you're a Dodger fan, you need Arizona and San Diego to be a wild card series. Those teams cannot be on opposite sides of the bracket.
Yeah.
Because they can easily both win their wild card series, and then one of them is going to be waiting for you in round one. So I need San Diego and Arizona to play best of 3, because that means one of them is going home, and that's what I need as a Dodger fan. But we'll move along here. That was good. We'll see how the rest of these races pull out, and hopefully our teams do what they're supposed to do. David Bell got fired. I was about to say got retired. I mean, he did, but he got fired. It's the right move. I didn't like that they gave him a contract extension before this season. That wasn't probably a good idea. It was the right move. This Reds team is not playing to their full potential. There's another step that they can easily be into. Now, part of it, is blame all around. It's not always on the manager. But a manager does play a key role in getting their guys up and getting them ready to play a baseball game every night. And whatever David Bell's message was being sent clearly wasn't resonating in the locker room, because now he's out. And again, that's the shitty part of sports. It's, if the team plays bad, they're not going to fire the players. They're going to fire you, the manager. And that's what's happening here. But I've already heard Skip Schumacher's a name that's possibly could get the job at the end of the season. I'm sure there's going to be other names that are going to be popping up, but listen, I'm not going to go out and say the Cincinnati Reds managerial job is the most coveted position in the sport right now, but it's up there with one of the teams I think you would want. There's some good to decent pieces on this team. And I think with the right manager and maybe a couple more moves, they could be contending with Arizona and the Mets and San Diego for a wild card spot. You know, there was a bunch of people for the last 2-3 years that had the Reds as a sleeper to get into that wild card spot. And it hasn't happened. So, a well-deserved and a good timing change in Cincinnati. That's how I feel.
Yeah, no, I couldn't have said it better. This Reds team is not living up to potential. They got a good core guys there. They really do. TJ Friedel, Spencer Steer, led by Ellie De La Cruz. Obviously, this team is better than this. We've seen it. They've showed flashes that they could be a good team. But they're a young team still as well. You know, I think they got a few veterans in there, especially in the pitching staff. But when I'm looking at the lineup, Jamer Candelario kind of comes out to me a little bit. I feel like they need a better mix of some veterans in there to kind of help out these younger guys. But no, it starts at the helm. And David Bell was obviously not the right guy there. I think this team could really benefit from using a former major leaguer in that role.
Skip Schumacher.
Exactly. Kind of just bringing that fire and intensity and a guy who understands what these guys are playing for. So for me personally, I mean, yeah, it makes sense of why they did it. What kind of jumped out to me was I wasn't expecting this to happen because of the extension that they just gave him. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it a 3-year extension?
I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong on that.
So, I mean, either way, I believe it was a multi-year extension. This obviously didn't pan out. It was the right move for the Reds, and I'm glad they made it. Yeah, just get the right guy at the helm, and then kind of mix in some veterans in there, and then I think you got a pretty solid chance of fighting for a wild card next year.
So before yesterday, he was under contract until 2026. So yeah, I think it was a 3-year extension.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, disappointing. He's the first manager to get fired too.
Yes.
Usually, I mean, now more probably going to happen this week. I know we already had the Mariners manager get canned a couple weeks ago. I think earlier in the month, but this is the week where usually managers get fired, or they find out they're not going to be returning. I don't really know who else could be on the hot seat right now, but I don't want to say Skip Schumacher because it doesn't sound. I mean, it sounds like he's going to take the job with Cincinnati, or at least he's going to be in consideration for it. I mean, I guess we'll switch over to this team that could be looking for a new manager again. The White Sox. They tied the 1962 New York Mets, which that was their inaugural season, by the way. They tied them with 120 losses. And now they are one loss away from breaking baseball's all-time record. And they have an opportunity to do that at home in front of a sellout crowd in Chicago against the Anaheim Angels. What a matchup, yeah, and I was there for it, and I got to see it. The World Series, the game of the century. I don't even know what question to ask. Just, did you ever think that loss total would ever be broken?
I did. Well, it's really hard for me because I didn't until probably around the All-Star break.
Yeah.
That's when I started seeing this White Sox team. It was like, okay, well, if there's a team to do it, it's probably going to be this one. And to be honest with you, I mean, both of us kind of called this a few weeks back. We both agreed that this was going to happen. This team is bad, man. Really bad. And it sucks to see, too, because it's obviously our player of the game that we do. We take rotations on it. We each have certain nights that we do it.
We're in the final week of that, too, by the way.
We are, yes. Um, but the theme that I'm seeing with the White Sox, they have some solid young starting pitching. I will say that. We're seeing a lot of these games that they're losing is like 3-1, 2-1, 4-2. Very low scoring, and it's thanks to the starting pitching that the White Sox are throwing out. These guys are going 6 innings with only giving up 2 earned runs, 1 earned run, none at times. Um, so I think this White Sox has a lot to look forward to, but there's no sense of direction. I feel like their farm system is not terrible. They have some guys who could be very solid players in the bigs. I just think that this front office and the managerial staff has kind of no idea. Grady Sizemore is in there at the moment. I'd like to see him stay around. I really would. Obviously, I don't think any of this is his fault. He can't be to blame for any of it. But it's crazy that it's actually here. My mom is a Mets fan, so for her, this is kind of she said to me today that she's kind of happy that the heat's off the Mets now. But
that's
no,
part of the charm, though.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's part of the charm of the Mets. We're losing that now.
Yeah, you are, but it's not necessarily the record that you want to be known for. But no, this White Sox team is really bad, and I'm not shocked by this at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. Not shocked about it. I will give a shout out to all their players, though. I mean, I don't know how they are in other cities, but when they were in Anaheim, they were signing a lot of stuff for fans, whether they want to or not. I give them credit, like they're still going out there, they're still putting on a happy face, and I mean, listen, whether you're losing every night or you're winning every night, you're still playing the game you love, and you're making millions of dollars off of it. I know this season probably wasn't easy for anybody in that organization, and I can't even imagine what the players are going through on a nightly basis with that. I think if you're a White Sox fan, you're just happy this season's almost over, and you don't have to hear about it, every night again. I'm gonna be very, it would be so funny watch them go on a winning streak here. They win their last 6 or 7 games of the year, and they have to share the record with the Mets.
That'd be something.
That'd be funny. I don't think that's gonna happen, but
no.
I just feel for the White Sox fan, man. In a city that's already overruled with Cubs fans, especially when they're good. This year, I think it hasn't been as unbearable in Chicago because the Cubs had a disappointing year also. But you gotta feel for those fans, man. Because, like I said, not too long ago, they were competing for the division and they were competing for a World Series. Wasn't that long ago. It was only like 3 years ago when they lost to Houston in the divisional round. Like you mentioned, the pieces are there. Just gotta figure it out. Just have to get the right people in there. That's it. But I think if you're a White Sox fan, you're just happy the season's over. And you can go back to watching the crappy Bears and the crappy Bulls again. So I'm sure you'll have a fun winter and a fun spring before we get back to opening day. Let's do our 2 teams, and then I guess we'll call it a day. I'll let you go first with the Yankees.
Okay.
And then I'll close out with my Dodgers here.
I don't have much, man. I'll be honest with you.
Congratulations.
I'm feeling good. I was a little scared there for a little bit. I believe it was like 3 weeks ago. Baltimore never took advantage. I'm gonna be speaking like we already won the AL East because, like I said, mathematically, I have to kind of just go that way. Obviously, there's still a chance, so I'm gonna put that out there. But this team went through a lot of bullshit. They really did. When it came to the starting pitching, they went into the season completely dismantled. Garrett Cole was hurt. We thought the world was ending. It kind of overshadowed Juan Soto there a little bit. but the rest of the guys kind of picked it up. Going into the postseason, I feel confident in the starting rotation. Garrett Cole's really come into form. Carlos Rodon, not his greatest season, but hey, I'll take it. And the rest of the guys in there, and we just moved Marcus Stroman to the bullpen. We don't know how that's going to start in October. That could change, but he's been looking good too. I like the idea of a six-man rotation. Obviously, not going into October, but I like the idea of having six guys there who could be in those spots if we absolutely need it. There's a lot of versatility with the starting rotation. The lineup, I love it. I can't say enough about it. Gleyber Torres is turning into form. Judge is doing his thing. Soto's doing his. Austin Wells looks good. Just the rest of this lineup, and we have Jason Dominguez, who could vary. Hasn't been doing great, but listen, he's one of the best guys on the team when it comes to potential. So I like that. And we all know once the postseason hits, Giancarlo shows up. At least in previous years, he has. So that's what you need. Bullpen. I don't like the middle to long guys. Worries me a little bit. But I will say this. I don't think that we're in this comfortable of a situation without a guy named Luke Weaver. This guy came out of kind of nowhere. He was one of Cashman's pickups. And we thought shit was going to go south once Clay Holmes kind of went out of that closer role. Because we were saying to ourselves, listen, who the hell is going to be our closer now? We're going into October with the best lineup that we've had in years with no closer. And to a Yankee fan, that's a little weird because we were blessed with Mariano Rivera for so many years, the greatest closer of all time. So we were like, okay, well, where the hell are we going to go from here? Is it just going to be a rotation of guys in that closer role? Whoever's there is going to be it. But no, Luke Weaver really stepped into that role, and I think that's the guy who Boone's going to go with as the closer going into October, which I'm totally cool with. He's the best guy for the job. He's the best guy available. So that's who we need to go with, and just looking forward to October now. You just got to win one more game. You have 3 games coming up against Baltimore, and you have 3 games to close out the season against Pittsburgh. You win one of those 6 games, and you win the AL East. Can't really say much more. I'm looking forward to October, and we'll see where it goes. Obviously, the Yankees still don't have the number 1 seed. As of now, they do, but the Guardians could jump them. So just remember that, that 1 seed is very nice to have. So remember that going into this final week. And, yeah, other than that, man, I don't have much.
Yeah, to the Dodgers side now. Listen, I really thought it was doomsday yesterday. I really hope, and I can't believe I have to say this, but I really hope the Dodgers treat these next 3 nights like postseason elimination games.
I agree with you.
I can't believe I have to say that to a Dodgers team, but you have to treat it like that. You have a San Diego team. Listen, just to give you a little historic stuff here. With this core group that they have had, with Tatis, Machado, Profar, all these guys, this is the closest they have been to winning the National League West.
Yeah.
So I know San Diego's going to be ready to go at 7:10 local time tomorrow night and for the next 3 nights to try and snatch that division away from the Dodgers. You cannot treat these 3 games. It's just another series. I'm sorry, but it's not. And it sucks because you as a Dodger fan, you do this unfortunate thing where you look back on the season. You blew a couple games to the Tigers before the All-Star break when you had big leads. You blew a game to the Astros. You lost the season series to San Diego. So you can no longer be tied with them at the end of the season. You have to be a game better than them to have this division. So you look back at so many blown saves, blown opportunities, And now, rather than maybe starting to rest some guys who need it, you got to play 3 meaningful games starting tomorrow, which I guess is good. I mean, listen, the Dodgers have been playing meaningful games for the last almost 2 months now, because San Diego and before them Arizona was on our tail for the division. I can't believe I have to say that, but I hope this Dodger team is ready to go tomorrow night, because we're gonna know right away how this Dodger team is gonna respond. You know, if their last day, if they come out like it's just another series, San Diego's gonna win this division. I really believe that. But if the Dodgers do what they're supposed to do, you win 2 out of 3 games at home against San Diego, and this division is over. Now, obviously, these two teams can meet in the postseason again, and that could be a different story. But you have to take care of business this week and win this division. I'm sorry, you do. I hope I'm wrong, but I hope this Dodger team is ready to go tomorrow. Because what I saw over the weekend, again, it's making me nervous. If you're barely beating the Colorado Rockies, that scares me a little bit. It took the Dodgers to bounce out of a 5-1 hole yesterday, and back-to-back home runs for Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani to win you a ball game yesterday. A game that you needed to have. It's not like you could afford to lose it. You needed that game yesterday to keep the division lead at 3 instead of 2 coming into this week. Do what you're supposed to do. Win 2 out of 3 against San Diego, end this division, and get ready for hopefully a first round bye and get ready for a divisional round series. In happier news, Shohei Ohtani continues to dazzle Dodger fans in the baseball world. First player, and I'm not going to ramble on too much about it because I did a 12-minute video on it last week. First player to get 50-50. And Thursday he probably had the greatest offensive game in the history of the sport. Incredible. 6 for 6, 3 home runs, 2 doubles, 2 stolen bases, 10 RBIs, and he was a bad relay throw from the left fielder or shortstop from hitting for the cycle that day also. It's remarkable what this guy's doing. He's clearly the MVP. And I think that was finally put to bed last week. It was put to bed a long time ago when he got 40-40. But I think now you're starting to see, okay, he's clearly the MVP, even though he's a DH. I'm concerned. I'm worried. You know, and it sucks, but this hasn't been, and I'm going to say this right now, this is what even, now this could change with a big October from this team, but from opening day until now, this wasn't one of my favorite Dodger teams. Really wasn't. Very, very underwhelming. I listen, I know I sound like the spoiled rich kid right now. I know that's how I'm coming off right now, but this team's not even going to win 100 games. They're not. Now, maybe that's a good thing, but I was just expecting a little bit more out of some of these guys. Now, part of it was due to injury. The whole, we all know the news. The whole pitching staff is depleted right now. And Ohtani, and Mookie was gone for 2 months, but this was not one of my favorite Dodger teams. It really wasn't. Oh, now, and it sucks because if the Dodgers fail in the postseason again, Shohei Ohtani is going to be the only bright spot from this season. And then I'm like, Ohtani's up here, and then Teoscar Hernandez is down here. But he had a good season too. And so did some other guys. But Ohtani's historic 50-50 season That's going to be the only positive thing I take away from this. Other than that, it's hasn't been exactly roses and sunshine. They're going into the final week still playing for a division. Their whole pitching staff is depleted. Some guys underperforming, you know. Again, I know I sound very gloom and very down right now, but that's how I feel. You know, I'm not giving up on this team obviously until the final out was recorded and they're going home, but I could see the storm coming. I could see it. It's in the corner of my eye. I could see it coming. Now, you want to weather that storm a little bit, win the division this week, take 2 out of 3 from San Diego, get one of the 2 byes, and then we'll take it from there. But for right now, very nervous. I guess that's the best way I can describe it to you right now. Very nervous. Because I know how this movie ends. And I hope this year there's a different ending to it. That's what I got on my Dodgers.
Very well said.
Jesus, that was a depressing end. Wow.
Well, I mean, listen, we only have a week left of the regular season. It's not that hard to be depressed. Sucks, man.
Yeah, that's true. You know what's not depressing, though? We have a new partner.
That we do.
Smackin sunflower seeds. They reached out to us last week, or 2 weeks ago. We said, yeah, we're on board. So they sent us a bunch of sunflower seeds. I wish I had the box with me. I forgot to get it. I was rushing in here. But they have all kinds of flavors. They have dill pickle. They have a backyard barbecue. I think my favorite one, and I'm going to try it, the cinnamon churro.
Okay.
That sounds really good. Is there any of them that stood out to you?
Yeah, so
I got to learn to eat seeds, by the way.
So I'm not new to smacking sunflower seeds. I've had them before. I'm not just saying this because of the partnership. I do believe that they have the best seeds in the game. You know, this is a time where I wish I was still in high school. I'll be honest, because I would have used those just a tad bit more. But no, this for me personally, the churro one's pretty good. But I'm excited for their cheddar jalapeno. I'm a big spice guy. I absolutely love it. Borderline freakish about it. The spicier, the better. I want my mouth on fire. So, for me, that's the one that I'm excited about. But this might be an underwhelming one. The ones that I've tried, I really like the cracked pepper. That one's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of my coworkers like, ooh, that cracked pepper sounds pretty good.
I'm telling you, man, it's good. Yeah, so big thank you for them, and use code ATD on their website.
You get 10% off.
That you do.
I gotta eat too.
What's better than sunflower seeds in general? I'll tell you what's better. Sunflower seeds for 10% off using code ATD.
Get yourself a variety pack.
Oh, yeah.
Get all the flavors. You don't just have to pick one. They'll send you a box.
They will.
Got anything else on today?
I don't think
that's
so.
going to wrap this up.
I think so. A very, very productive episode, I'll tell you that.
I agree. We had to cover a lot of stuff, and we did. And now, a week from today, we'll be previewing postseason games.
We will. That's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to see how this shapes out.
I kind of hope my team's not part of it, to be honest with you. Really hope they have the week off.
We'll see. It's going to be interesting to see how these things shake out. I'll tell you that.
Bon voyage to the 2024 regular season. And the next time you see us, we'll be getting ready for the postseason.
October baseball, man. Come on. Love it.
Here we go again. The bullshit. The bullshit.
Oh,
what's going to happen? Yes.
One last note here. We can also be excited about this. Both of our star players should be taking home another MVP award this year.
That's true. Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge.
Yes.
Do
100%.
you think they'll win it unanimously?
I think they should, both of them, personally.
But do you think they will? I don't
No,
think they will.
I don't think they will, but I think they should.
I'm with you. But yes, October baseball. So Dodger fan, what kind of bullshit's gonna happen this year?
You could throw me into that too, man. The
Yeah,
Yankees have had some heartbreaks over the years.
that's true. Yeah, what's gonna happen this year? What's gonna happen? Last year was 4 straight home runs. 2 years ago was losing to a freaking 80-something win Padre team. It was Jake Cronenworth going off. 2021 was Eddie Rosario beating us. What's it gonna be this year? Who? I can see it
And
now. Jackson Merrill, divisional round against the Dodgers, gonna be hitting 800. Could see it already. Could see it.
I I will say this too. For anybody who's listening that knows both Melo and I personally, the month of October is not a great thing for us. This
It's
is
not.
where
It's horrible.
this is where you see the worst of us come out.
Yes.
I already warned my fiance. I said to her, I said, "Listen, so you haven't seen me yet. just you wait. This Yankees team is gonna make me flip my shit. I'm telling you. My brand new living room couch is gonna be fucking
Ooh.
topside. I'm telling you."
Yeah, my family, friends, and now my coworkers know. Because they got to see my coworkers, see my family and my friends have all seen how miserable I get during Dodger postseason.
Oh yeah.
But now my coworkers got a taste of it last year and 2 years ago. Fucking miserable. I'm one of those people that if the Dodgers are losing 1-0 in the first inning, I think it's over.
Me
They're not
too.
winning the game. They're gonna lose. They're not winning. It's over. So, I want to put it on record now. I apologize to anybody. I'm gonna do the best I can to keep my emotions in check, but probably not gonna do a good job of that. I'm telling you right now.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. All right. Episode 95. We'll see you next week. Adios.